Hi, I'm Martine Bernard.
And I'm Monty Haas. And this is Words That Cook,
Parenting with Children's Books. That's an interesting get-up, Monty. What's up?
Well, Martine, I'm just trying to get into the spirit of going back to school. Why? Don't you like it?
It's not bad. It's just that it's not quite right for this school, the Carroll School in Lincoln, Massachusetts. The students here face the challenges of dyslexia and other language-based learning differences. But I understand we're going to hear ideas that are great for every family to use at home.
And I should get to my appointment with Donna Sullivan, the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, so I can learn more about the school and explore the theme of this show, active learning.
Have fun. I'm off to 4th grade math class.
Cool. You go ahead and add yourself to the math class while I subtract myself from this hallway.
Oh, Monty.
Many children come to school and their parents are quite surprised that they have a language deficiency because conversationally they're able to keep up their end of the conversation quite nicely. And certainly those children need to have a lot of visual support while listening to an auditory presentation. They don't do well with lectures.
I might need to use two hands because I might need to put one finger where I start and then count the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. If my shape has 4 sides, what shape is it going to be? Yes.
Quadrilateral.
Quadrilateral, good word, yes. When you're doing this activity, I'd like you to use the word quadrilateral. Does it always have to look like this?
No, it can be 3D.
It can be 3D. Can this trapezoid table be a quadrilateral?
Yeah.
You're right. It has 4 sides. We're going to divide into groups just the easiest way we can.
It has 6 sides. There's 4 sides. It's a hexagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Take it out, let's see. When they put their hand in the bag and they had to feel a shape, I wanted them to feel the different sides of the shape and think about it. And then, still without looking, I wanted them to then express what they were feeling. So they were now feeling, thinking, and now expressing it. And then I wanted them to write it.
3 sides. Can you guess? And that's definitely a triangle. It's obvious it's a pentagon.
Well, what's wonderful about that is that it also incorporates the many ways that different children or people learn.
Yes, the more modalities that you use, sight, vision, touching, feeling, speaking, thinking, smelling, it's going to stay in your brain. You're going to learn it, you're going to feel it, and you're going to know it.
So what are some of the resources or what advice would you give parents at home?
I would read. Read. It really doesn't matter how young or how old your child is. There's just something that you bring to the table when you read aloud to your child. And the language is so much richer in books than we actually talk. And it increases vocabulary for this population, which has a little bit of a language-based problem. It's so important, but it's important for everybody. How may I help you now? The shapeshifter asked the quadrilateral. I think if I had just one more side and one more angle, said the quadrilateral, my life would be more interesting. I really want them to hear different kind of mathematical terms that we normally don't use in conversation, like quadrilateral, but it's important that they hear it lots of different ways and they get it lots of different ways. Poof! The shapeshifter turned the quadrilateral into a pentagon. If the quadrilateral had 4 sides and 4 angles, and one more was added, Vote with your hands how many sides or angles a pentagon has.
I'm so just thrilled to see that there are books about math. That is that is amazing.
Yes, there are some authors that are great. Greg Tang does great things with math books. Marilyn Burns. If you go to the children's section, it's not always in the bookstore or in the library. It's not always set up that way. But you know, even in books that you might not realize, they all have math to some extent. Most of them do, but you can find math in it. You can talk math. You can, The Missing Piece by Shel Silverstein is basically a poem, but it's all about a circle where a triangle needs to fit in. Math is all over. Math is all over. Just keep your eyes open and just look, and even if you're not sure, wonder out loud with your child, because if you're wondering out loud with your child, that will engage them.
If it becomes something that you're just having normal conversations about, it's applicable. It's not something that you just leave at school.
You need to talk the talk. You need to talk the vocabulary. You need to just immerse your child in all those different stories, books. When you're traveling, talk about the stop sign and the shapes, and just bring it all in.
Why did you ask the kids what shape they wanted to be?
It gets them a little more involved in a different way. It gives them a little bit more creativity, and it brings it back home at the same time. It makes it full circle. What shape would you like to be and why?
A quadrilateral because it can be a baseball diamond. I want to be a pentagram so I could be on the army badges. I would like to be a triangle because I think they are cute.
It's engaging. It's engaging the child so that it's not just memorizing, but you're learning it, you're feeling it, you're speaking it, you're talking it, you're touching it.
And you're living it.
And you're living it. That's the key word, you're living it. That's perfect.
What on earth were those?
In math class, we were playing with and learning about shapes, and the kids really got into the whole shape-shifting idea.
I'll say. Well, now I'm going to meet with Laura Waldron, the mom of 2 Carroll School students, to find out what she's doing to help her kids develop their language skills. But first, here's what Donna Sullivan had to say about parents using structured learning programs in the home.
My advice would be not to assume a didactic teaching attitude with your child, but to engage in activities that develop language skills that are fun. There's been a recent study done through Harvard University where the importance of table talk at the dinner table has been emphasized. The parent, I think, shouldn't try to be the primary instructor of the child because he'll need some rather knowledgeable assistance, but certainly the parent can read to the child and talk about the book. Talk to your kids and use language not just to give them commands and directions, but just for fun. Playing with language is really important.
So keep it upbeat and fun.
Exactly, exactly.
I think for my kids who struggled with some of the mechanics of reading, that we really found we tried to build from what they were interested in. They're both really hands-on learners. So when they were little and trying to learn what letters and how to write their first words and things like that, we did a lot of summertime at the beach. And they would write letters and little words in the sand. And that was fun, and it kept their hands busy and kept them from fidgeting, and it was a more fun way to do it. But I think it also helped because they didn't have to be afraid of making a mistake. I think sometimes when you write something in a pen on a white piece of paper, it's pretty scary if you get it wrong. But if it's sand, you know, you just let the next wave wipe it clean and you have a fresh start.
Are there other games or techniques or tips that you can pass along to parents?
Well, you know, I think a lot of it is just making reading and enjoying books and anything to do with reading part of your everyday life. One of the things we did this summer that was just a ton of fun is I bought one of those little kits of magnetic words. We put them on the refrigerator, and every time the kids walked through, someone would be rearranging the words to make a new sentence. And I think those types of things are some of the little things you can do that just engage your children in looking at individual words. And then at some point they make the transition to reading books and enjoying that kind of fun as well.
Does Dad get involved as well as you?
Oh, sure, yeah. Actually, it's great because we've always had a tradition of reading out loud to our kids at night. And even though our oldest is now 12, that's something that we really, really try to do. Those reading aloud times are great times for kids to explore literature that's maybe a little bit beyond their independent reading level. But it's also a great time to start having some pretty important philosophical talks. I guess since my son's about to become a teenager, it's high on my mind to keep lines of communication open. And I think reading's a way you can do that.
Hi, Monty.
Hey there, Martine.
What are you up to?
I'm playing with magnetic words like Laura Waldron suggested in order to build my confidence and comfort level with language.
This is certainly an appropriate activity for Monty since he has such a magnetic personality. See?
Very cute, Martine.
Oh, wow, I think I have to go. A visual arts class is starting. Bye.
While she dashes off to explore her artistic side, Donna's going to explain the idea of educating the whole child.
We have to remember that the child is not a learning difference. This is not a dyslexic. This is a boy who has all sorts of interests and all kinds of strengths, who happens to have a weakness in the language area.
For kids that are struggling, when they struggle with language and they're struggling with reading, they usually find this as a safe place to be able to expand on things that are much more comfortable, that they can feel better about themselves. It gives them a feeling that I can do this and it's okay that I'm not the best reader in class, but I can do this. Because we use so many different materials, everyone will find something that they feel comfortable with.
During the class, you were guiding without taking over. How can parents do that with art or just any other subjects that their children are interested in?
In some ways, as parents, we want them to do the best on their homework. We want them to get everything correct. So it's part of being able to give them a nudge in the right direction, but remembering every once in a while to stop yourself and to hold your breath for a minute and let's see if they catch on with what you're trying to say to them. What's this shape? If I think of that whole mountain range, the hill with the trees, yep, you can do that shape.
I think that is sort of a triangle too with the trees.
Yep. Is it thicker here or up here?
It's thin down here.
Thinner down there. Okay, so you'd have it thinner at the bottom and come out thicker to the top, right? If you're trying to guide them with the right answer, well, are you sure that's how you want to end that story? Are you sure there shouldn't be maybe another line to that piece, or same with art? So you try to lead them into it without giving them the answer or making them think that they didn't come up with it on their own.
I just take out the wall because this is sort of messing up the whole picture.
You don't have to. I mean, it's up to you.
No, I want to because it seems
Okay.
like it's messing up the whole picture.
You don't like the way it's dividing it?
Yeah.
Is that what your trouble is? Okay. That's the
Ground.
ground that's on the... Okay.
Now I got it.
Do you use any books in class?
Yes. I try to reference, especially with some of the younger children, different types of books. There's this whole series about getting to know artists, women artists, and not just, men. And it tells you about their life and why the materials they used and why they used them.
From the books, the children are learning about art vocabulary, texture, line, depth, and all of that. And you also seem to emphasize it all over the room.
I have pictures of what a texture might look like, and then the word texture, so they can reference the word with the visual, so that this way they can use all their senses.
Are you using these words every day?
Every day we start out, I have what's called the magical word board, and on it will be between 5 and 6 words, and they're about either the material we're using, or it might be about what we're talking about as far as subject matter. The fantasy landscape, do you remember what a fantasy landscape was, Hunter?
It's like on the land that's make-believe.
It's a make-believe landscape, right? It could be from, if you were thinking of a movie you've recently seen.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Matrix.
Matrix, kind of. Or what's another one? Is there another one?
Potter.
Harry Potter is a wonderful example of it. The magical word board is to inspire them to use language more, and not just to, it's a visual class, and not just to rely on the visuals, that they need to learn to use their words more.
So it's a good balance.
Yeah.
It's really a good balance, the hard work and some play.
Yeah. This is the place where you come and play, and at the same time they're learning vocabulary.
Wow, those are some terrific paintings. Are those from the 6th grade visual arts class?
Yes, they are. And there's a lot of talent in that group. And it was great for the kids to be able to play and create while still learning art vocabulary.
You know, I think Lori Joy and Honey have planned an activity that plays with words. In fact, Donna has something to say about encouraging children and their parents to play with sounds and words.
Any little games that you can play with a child, you know, let's see how many things we can think of in this room that start with the sound of B. Those kinds of little 5-minute things.
Non-threatening.
Non-threatening, fun, not academic, just playing with words. Playing with words that rhyme, playing with words that start with the same sound, all those kinds of things.
Have you ever been on a treasure hunt? They're easy to do. All you have to do is write some clues that lead from one place to another and hide them around the house. Let's see what Chip did. A tisket, a tasket. There's something in the ice bucket. Not the ice bucket. Does it rhyme? It rhymes. Tasket, basket. Is that it? Okay. Here it is, the next clue. Black and white, without flight. I know what that one is. Black and white, penguin, without flight. It can't fly. I can't lock it. It's in my pocket. In your pocket? Whose pocket? In my pocket. What did you put in my pocket? Cookies. Are these for me? Is one for me? Okay, we'll share.
What are you looking for, Monty?
Hey, Martine. Well, I'm trying to find a note that Honey put in one of my pockets with a clue about my next class that has to do with snow in Alaska.
Wait, let me try that.
There.
Here it is, and it says, "Look in your locker for a real shocker."
All right.
Oh, gosh.
You know, Honey and her clues. Not a fluke, but a flounder. Have fun, you're off to Bounders.
And what is Bounders?
It's a class that was inspired by Outward Bound, and it's designed to build kids' confidence. I asked Donna how the school helps children discover their strengths. Isn't it true that all children have strengths and weaknesses when it comes to learning?
Actually, we do a lot of direct teaching around that. We also provide them with opportunities to experience their strengths. Bounders program is specifically to develop a child's ability to see that he's able to take risks and be successful.
We're going to give you tools, we're going to give you a sled, some rope, but you have to deliver 2 things to 2 towns. We're going to pretend that this is Concord and this is Bedford. Okay. We are located right here.
Talk to us just a bit about what they're doing today with the Iditarod.
One of the books that the Carroll School has read, or that kids have read by this age, is Balto. And it's the history of the Iditarod, which is the longest sled race in Alaska. So today what we're going to do is kind of have them build a sled and deliver medicine to one town and wood to another town.
There's going to be a lot of verbal communication among the students, and they're going to be trying to figure out who is going to be in charge and who's going to be taking the different roles that have to be taken within the activity. And that's all up to them.
Those 2 are going to be in the sled. We're going to pull the sled. So come on.
if they hit a wall that they can't come across, we'll stop them and we'll kind of walk them or talk them through a problem-solving method. And just through a series of questions, So, okay, so where are you? What are you doing? How can this work or how can that work? And eventually they'll get past that wall.
1, 2, 3, go! Oh! I can hold it like that so they can pull the rope if they need to stop it. Yeah.
How is this going so far?
Bad.
Bad.
Well,
Why bad? Is it the sled you want to pull?
You could tie the rope to these ropes. Yeah,
Ooh,
lead into the
wait a
turn.
second. I believe someone had a really
That
good
was a
idea.
really good idea.
All right, there we go. Nice job.
Go, Baltimore!
Founders brings them an opportunity to learn about themselves, to push themselves past their perceived limits or the idea of I can only accomplish this much. Founders gives them an opportunity to realize that they can accomplish a tremendous amount more than they ever expected they could.
How does what the children do here in Bounders translate to their other classroom activities?
It helps them to break down how to solve certain problems, whether it's in math or a lab in science, but it can show them ways that if they just think about it in the steps, they can get it, they can come up with a solution. So I think we're talking about on a grandeur scale here, where we're pulling the kids and we're having them do all these great things, pushing their limits. When they come back into that classroom, I think that they feel as though they can attack any task that's given to them.
I felt that we could do it if we all put our minds to it. I think we thought it was easy, we could do this in 5 minutes. It's a piece of cake, but it really wasn't.
We kind of all worked together by tying the ropes, and we all used each other's ideas and stuff.
At first, I didn't think we could do it, but then I thought we could after we got going.
Wow, Monty, what amazing experiences we've had today, and what a terrific bunch of kids.
They sure are, Martine. And isn't it great we've had the chance to share so many important ideas with everyone at home?
Absolutely.
And there's still so much more to share with our viewers about empowering kids to succeed. We've got to come back here for our next show.
Sounds good to me. But for now, let's review the highlights of today's show. Donna Sullivan suggests that you respect children as individuals, recognize children's interests and strengths, and offer children opportunities to succeed.
Ronnie Cristiano recommends that you try hands-on activities together, repeat new vocabulary in many different contexts, and look for math concepts as you read aloud.
And Ronnie also suggests that you integrate math into everyday life and wonder out loud with your kids.
Laura Waldron recommends that you play with magnetic words, share opinions when you read aloud, and continue to read aloud with older children.
Like Diane Francis, remember that non-academic classes can let children shine. Consider presenting words with visuals and promote the use of new vocabulary.
Laura Joy recommends that you create games that use language in a fun way and encourage children to play with rhyming words.
Like Raylan Vitti and Brian Kelly, gently guide children with questions. Find programs that will challenge your children. And remember, practice in problem solving leads to academic success.
Now here's Miriam Marichek's recommended Words That Cook book list.
Brought to you by the Cookie Bookie Bears.
For 0 to 3, This Little Light of Mine, illustrated by E.B. Lewis. And A Splendid Friend Indeed, by Suzanne Bloom. For 3 to 6, Chicken in the Kitchen, by Tony Johnston. And Find a Face, by Francois and Jean Robert with Jane Giddings. For 6 to 9, Cora Freer, by Susan E. Goodman. Landscapes, by Claude Delafosse and Gallimard Jeunesse. And Shape Up, Fun with Triangles and Other Polygons, by David A. Adler. And for 9 to 12, Jackie's Wild Seattle, by Will Hobbs. A Single Shard, by Linda Sue Park. And The Weather Detectives, Fun-Filled Facts, Experiments, and Activities for Kids by Mark Eubank.
For a complete list of books, links, and other great ideas that will help make reading more fun for you and your kids, go to our website, wordsthatcook.org.
Now you've got some new ideas to play with, so go and have some fun with Words That Cook.
Parenting with children's books
In your kitchen.